Gonna go over the basics of what drumming is and kind of the science behind what makes a kit, and maybe even go over some basic patterns or beats, as we call them, or grooves, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the job of the drummer is to basically provide the overall tempo and groove for a song, whether you're playing in a rock band, a soul band, or whatever. Your job is to keep the groove and the tempo, basically the dance floor, going. That's your job. So as far as the basics of the drums go, first, at least I think one of the most important parts of the drum set is the snare. This is basically every time there's a downbeat on a song, you're going to always use this. So you kind of, it's kind of the, I guess, the signature sounds you always associate with a drum set. Next, we have a rack tom. I have two different toms here. Usually, toms that are up here are called rack toms because they're usually held up on a rack. And then this is what we call a floor tom. This is actually a suspended floor tom because it doesn't actually have legs on it. I have to hook it onto a cymbal stand. So you got 1, 2 toms. Then as far as cymbals go, these are your hi-hats. This is kind of like the main, in my opinion, the main part of a drum set in terms of the time. If I'm not playing it, I'm always kind of going like that. It's the timekeeper, in my opinion. Or if I'm not doing that, I'm using my hands. It's the basic. That should be kind of the starting point for keeping a groove alive. The other various cymbals, you got 2 crash cymbals here, and this is a ride cymbal. The ride has more of a jazzier, kind of spacier sound, whereas you got the hi-hat that's more of a, and then you got, so it kind of changes up like the kind of feel of the groove when you have a. So that's basically the drum set. And then finally you get your kick drum. Nothing really else to say. That it's kind of like it's just the bigger of all the drums, the big low note, the low end sound of a drum set. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Then probably go over some basic beats today. Trying to think of a good one. Usually one I always think that's a good one to start off with is the beat for Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, because it's such a basic and simple beat. But we can try it. We'll do it slow, do a couple different versions. Basically, if you were to just play the song regular, it would sound like this. Like that. Now, of course, if you're learning, doing maybe that many hi-hat hits might be hard, so you can try different variations that are more simple. One way would be just do less hats, so it would sound like this. One thing to remember, always keep time. That's the important part about playing drums. All the fills and crazy stuff with cymbals and stuff doesn't matter. It's all about keeping the time consistent. Don't speed up or slow down. Everything's going to be consistency. So for that particular groove, all you're really doing is you're just alternating between hitting your kick, which is with your right foot, and then hitting the snare drum. So if we leave the hi-hats out of it, it should just sound like this. That's pretty basic, and I think that should be a good starting point, just to get the understanding of what it is to carry a groove and keep consistent time throughout a song. As you get more comfortable with that, you can start throwing in hi-hats. You can even do really basic hi-hats like this. And as you get more comfortable with the hats, you can start going. That's kind of a basic groove, I'd say, to start off with. But first of all, you'll get used to the idea of alternating between the kick and the snare, and that constant groove. You want to kind of feel the groove.
Talk about the sticks.
How to hold the sticks. Well, I mean, traditionally when they started, back in the days, they taught you how to hold the sticks like this. It's like how jazz drummers do, but most drummers today hold it rock style. You just kind of hold it like that. You just, the way you want to play, you don't want to use as much as your arms as more of your wrists. If you watch the way I play, I'm not really going, I'm using mostly my wrists. So it should be almost effortless when you play. Really, really relax. Let your wrists do all the playing for you. And actually, the way you kind of hit, if you look at my hand, if you're slow-mo, every hit I do, I'm actually kind of going like that. So that's kind of the rhythm you want to, or the formation you want to do when you hit, just like that.
Like a whip almost.
Kind of like a whip, yeah. So there's almost no motion in my arms. The only time I'll really do stuff with my arms is, at concerts when I want to look cool on stage. I'll really lay into my cymbals. But even still, when I do fills and stuff, it's all effortless. Just. So yeah, the stick technique is definitely a good one. I'd say a good way to practice if you're just looking for basic, kind of conditioning, I guess you would say, just like as an athlete would condition for their sport, is to just practice doing like a basic roll. But like I said, once again, it's the idea of keeping time, consistent tempo. Don't speed up or slow down. So one way, it's called a single stroke roll. You're doing one hit with each hand. You go. Of course, you can go slower than that if it's too much. So that's kind of a basic. The next one, if you would want to bump it up a little, you try doing 2 hits with each hand. That might come a little bit down the road because it's a little more advanced, but.
Go a little slower and do that. Do it again, slower.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a really good thing to just practice in general. Another thing to do while you're if you want to just practice basic rolls like that to condition and just get your body stronger at playing drums, always try to do it like you said always have like kind of a metronome in your head that's always constantly going. An easy way to do that is use your left foot. So like if you notice, sometimes when I play a beat, if I'm not actually playing my hi-hats, I'll actually use it as a way to keep time. And here's an example. Keep that left foot going. Also can be, if I'm practicing, fills or the snare rolls, Double stroke one.
Okay, what about the bass drum? Is there a technique of hitting the with
No,
your foot?
Usually, starting off, you kind of have to develop your own feel for it. Some people like to play. Some people want to play where they have their heel up and they like to hit a down. That's how I like to play. But some people like to play heel down when their foot kind of goes flat. That's something you'll have to develop over time. Everyone has their own comfort zone for that. It doesn't matter. It's both ways will work fine. But there's really no trick to playing bass drum faster. It's just you get to develop that over time. It's just as you build strength in your legs, you'll get faster at it. But it's really just you're just kicking the bass drum. That's pretty much it.
Let's take a break and then we'll check it.
All right.